Hey everyone, this is Schmidty's Kettle. We're going to talk today about Glazepop caramel corn mix and why it's so inferior to the gourmet caramel corn, which is something I actually hopefully plan on doing later this year. But for right now, we're going to talk about why and the pros and cons of the caramel corn mix that we all use currently by our kettle corn machines, and we'll dive into that today. Please like and subscribe on Facebook, guys, if you like my page. And if you follow me on YouTube and have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do the best I can to answer them in the order that I receive them. When you first start your kettle corn business and you are looking for a way to do caramel corn in your machine, the first thing that comes up is this little box here called Glazepop. It's a caramel corn mix. They also do other flavors. They do the yellow theater popcorn flavoring. They do cherry. They do chocolate. They do all sorts of mixes. And you notice that with your machine, how hard it is to stir as your first batch you make it, and how inferior of a taste the regular caramel corn is at the stores versus your product. And that's actually probably to do with two things. Maybe one, the mix itself, and two, the machine you're using. The hardest part with this caramel corn mix that I have found over the years is having it to be as consistent as possible. Whether it be turning down the heat, whether it be adding more or less sugar, whether or not having one or two black ones ruin the whole batch for you. And that's pretty much my biggest complaint with this, is that out of all the products I make with kettle corn and my kettle corn machine, this is the only one that I have returned. And I pretty much explained to my popcorn customers that this is actually going to have a little bit of burnt taste to it, or a little bit of a bitter taste to it. It's not going to be sweet like the one you find in the stores. And I encourage all my customers to actually try this before they order it. And believe it or not, that really does make a difference in getting less returns. And in fact, I actually have a lot of customers who are staying away from the sugar. I actually like this better than the caramel corn in the stores because it does not give them as much of a sugar high as the other flavorings. So that being said, when I do actually do my gourmet caramel corn, which will hopefully be later this year or next year, I will hope to do both and see which one sells the best. But the other issue is that the gourmet caramel corn fully coats the actual product versus just partially. That's one of the biggest concerns. And as you go along, if you start buying the boxes in bulk, the 50-pound boxes in bulk, I've actually noticed the flavoring to be tasting a little bit better than the ones in the wax cartons. I do not know why they even make those wax cartons to begin with. They're like a product out of the 50s. The design itself is very old-fashioned, and I wish I could use a better container for that. But, I'm not gold medal, so it is what it is. I'm sure they're very popular. But if you buy the 50-pound box itself, I feel like the quality of the mix is much better. So when I get to making actually the caramel corn itself out of the machine, I find myself adding maybe a little bit more oil and turning down the heat. And if you find yourself doing that, you might come out with a product looking something like this. Now, I shift through it, and if you see here, you can even see right in the video, there's one or two pieces, maybe 5 pieces within this batch that are, for whatever reason, fully coated. And then I think that has to do with the way the bowl is made. The bottom pieces that are popped first are going to be, have nothing, and then some of them will have fully coating of everything. So that's the other issue I have. But again, I try to offer samples before people walk away without tasting it. And this is the only one that I have, for whatever reason, returned. And if you have a similar issue, let me know in the comments. But beyond that, I still use this caramel corn mix for right now. And maybe when the time comes, I'll get rid of it. But for right now, my customers seem to be happy with it. And once I get to the gourmet line, I'll maybe phase this one out. Because, as a business owner, the last thing you want to do is sell an inferior product. You always want to sell 100% everything you possibly do. And the kettle corn, I've always had that one down because that's the one I made myself. The cheese flavorings and the savory mixes are awesome by Gold Medal. I've never had an issue with that. So as far as this caramel corn mix, I do not know why they decided to sell us an inferior mix. But maybe it's just me, or maybe it's the way I'm doing it. If you guys have any suggestions, I've also thought of adding butter to the mix. So let me know in the comments if you guys have any suggestions on how to make this a better product. I appreciate a lot of support from these kettle corn vendors, and old and new alike. I started back in 2010, and I've been doing this now on my own for about 4 or 5 years now. And this is my 5th season actually, and I really appreciate you guys' input and positive feedback. I'm always doing my best to improve. I'm never 100% perfect, but whatever feedback I get from you guys, I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe on Facebook, guys. Again, if you like my page, please give it a shout out. I really appreciate it. And much love to all the other small business owners out there.